So, Friendswood just got rated as one of the best places to raise a family in the greater Houston area. So today we're going to be driving around, kind of talking about the city, about what it has to offer, some of the pros and cons of it, of course. If you stay tuned until the end, I will actually show you one of the new construction neighborhoods here, and we might even do a model home tour if they're open today. So we'll see. So right now we are driving through kind of the old side of Friendswood. This is what connects us directly to Pearland. So it's kind of funny if you live in Pearland and you live on the old side of Pearland, which is connected to the old side of Friendswood. Go figure. the actually it's closer to go to Friendswood for most things to do than it is to actually go to Pearland. So I'm one of those people, and we probably come to Friendswood, League City area more than we actually go to Pearland proper. So we're about to enter into the historic district, and if you look right here on the right, there's Cheers Pubs. There's two buildings right there. Fun fact, that was actually my first real estate deal that I closed here when I first got licensed in Texas. And I started off in commercial real estate. Now I focus primarily on residential. But here we go. On the left here, that used to be Autotech. The owner of that, he actually just passed away last June. So a company, I don't know, remember their name off the top of my head, but they bought it out, and it's gonna be like off-road kind of equipment. So right now, once we get past this intersection here, we'll be crossing into, what is known as historic Friendswood. Just a lot of like cool little shops, nice little bakeries. There's a Perry's Steakhouse over here, one of the biggest steakhouses in Houston. I've not met anybody that did not know what Perry's Steakhouse was. Right here in the shopping center on the right is actually obviously a Five Below, but there's a nutrition store where you can go in and get prepackaged, healthy meals, kind of like Factor, but it's just a physical location versus like a delivery service. I like it. I've never had anything from there that wasn't incredible. Also on the shopping center to the right here, there's Ocean Sushi. My buddy, he actually represents them for their real estate needs, and oh my gosh, their food is incredible. And it's weird because it's actually like really fresh, super good, but their pricing is really competitive. There's another spot over in Pearland that we go to as well, and the restaurant's not as pretty, the service isn't as good, and overall Ocean just has a better product, and their prices are almost the same. So it's kind of like no brainer. I'll take the extra 5-minute drive, whatever. Over here on the left, of course, you got your hot works. Got to get that sweat on, even though we sweat enough here in Texas. I'm a transplant, from Virginia, so this Texas heat and humidity, man, that's a new animal to me, and not having 4 seasons is kind of weird. So you can see Perry and Sons right there on the right. We were talking about that. They just opened up a bakery over there called the Bakehouse, and they have these chocolate croissants that are gonna get me in trouble. 2026, I want to turn my dad bod into a rad bod, but they could easily make that not my reality. Yeah, the shopping center over here, got Cooper's Landing, another beautiful restaurant over here, Sonic Drive-In. That actually sold a couple years ago. I don't know, a lot of the Sonics around here sold. I don't know if they're all under one ownership and they were just doing a liquidation sale of what was going on there. We just passed my buddy's shopping center. There's a Anytime Fitness right there. He actually owns that shopping center and that Anytime Fitness, so really cool guy. We're gonna do some multifamily projects later this year. Over here on the left, we have like a little medical center. And then coming up on the right here, we have Stevenson Park, one of my personal favorite parks for kids, or honestly, you don't even need kids to enjoy Stevenson Park because, they got running trails, they got pickleball, tennis courts, they got a big recreational pool out there. If you do have kids, obviously they have a ton of playgrounds. They actually have this really cool thing that I like as well, where you can walk around the park and there's like boxes set up on all the trees, and there's fairies inside. So they'll have like names for the fairies, and they'll have pictures of the fairies. So we always say we're going fairy hunting. So I have a lot of testosterone, so that's always weird to say let's go fairy hunting. But anywho, So yeah, now we're kind of transitioning into what I would say is like Friendswood proper. It's kind of like going to be the main area over here. A little bit busier, a little bit more modern, a little bit more hustle bustle. There's an HEB over here. That HEB for some reason always has like really good deals on seafood. So if you need some crab legs or some good Gulf shrimp or something like that, check out the HEB in Friendswood. I don't know why, I've just always found that they always have really great deals. So they actually just opened up a Gold's Gym over here. I worked out over here a couple times. I actually really like that gym. It was so nice. They have like custom like benches and things like that. I don't know, it's like a plaid, almost what you'd find in like an old Volkswagen. I don't know, it's just really nice, really comfortable, really nice presentation. It's also a tanning place over there. See over here on the left, that's where the HEB is. You can kind of see it tucked away into some of these trees. If we were to head down a little bit further, just a little bit more shopping, and that's kind of where it transitions into League City. But there's another good pho restaurant right over there. It's right next to the GameStop. I'll try to put like a map overlay, show you where that's at. And then once after we drive through this area, we will drive through some pretty cool neighborhoods that have like some ranches on them. And I don't know, that's a really cool touch to Friendswood. Friendswood isn't really like the cheapest place to move to, but it gives you that small town community feel without, with still having quick access to Houston proper and everything. So I don't know, I think Friendswood is just a really good mix. And I mean, obviously that's probably why it was rated for one of the best places to raise a family. I don't know, I like Friendswood a lot. Friendswood is actually where we wanted to live when we first moved to Texas from Virginia, but it was just a little out of our price budget at the time. But we are actively trying to move either here or like right there in League City, and because they connect right to each other. And honestly, unless you looked at your mail, you probably wouldn't know that you're in one or the other. Some of the other pros of Friendswood is definitely going to be their school system. Friendswood ISD is one of the top rated school districts in Texas, not even in Houston, but just in Texas in general. The Mustangs, man, they are proud of that school. It is a really cool facility, I will give it. I can't get any footage of it, obviously, because schools are in and I don't feel like going to prison. So, there's that. But Friendswood just has this really strong sense of community, almost like a pride, if you will, that I really don't capture from a lot of cities around here. When I meet other people from Pearland, they're like, oh yeah, I'm from Pearland. I'm like, cool, or League City, same thing. But when I meet people from Friendswood out in the wild, they're like, oh yeah, go Mustangs, baby. I'm like, okay, whatever works for you. However you decide to conform your identity. Also like Friendswood because they have a lower crime rate than a lot of areas. When you get up into some of the west side of Houston, it can get a little hairy, but Friendswood, pretty quiet for the most part. They probably have one of the smaller police departments, just out of necessity. It's not even a budgeting deal. Bad boys, what you gonna do? One nice thing about Friendswood as well, if you're looking to buy a house out here, is that I've noticed as an agent, for going on 3 or 4 years now, that a lot of the lots out here are a little bit bigger than some of the neighboring areas that I look into. Most areas you'll probably find like a 6,000, 8,000 square foot lot for like a 2,500 square foot house. But in Friendswood, it always seems to be that, it's like 8 to like 12,000 seems to be kind of the common. So that's pretty nice, especially when you got a 2,500 square foot house. I mean, just having a yard you can throw a football in or cook comfortably in, or just enjoy your property. I'm gonna try not to crash today. We'll see what happens. I think I'm gonna make an illegal U-turn. It's one of my signature moves here. Texas has like these 5 and 6 lane roads that makes it pretty easy to do. And we're about to drive through a work zone here. All right, doesn't look like I'm getting pulled over today, so, party on for that. That's great. I'm gonna show you another neighborhood back here. We actually looked at a house for ourselves a couple weeks ago. I like this neighborhood a lot. Another nice thing that I like about Friendswood is that Friendswood is actually not, it doesn't have a lot of flood zones. So that's kind of rare for Houston. I mean, obviously, still check out, if the house is going to be a flood zone or not when you go to buy it, but it's just not as common of a concern in this area. And then down what they call 2351, FM 2351, they just expanded a lot of the retention out there. So the little bit of flooding that Friendswood did have, it just got a little bit less and less over time. Little animal hospital on the right, taking care of some sick doggies, man. We got to make sure those dogs are safe. All right, so now we are driving in the neighborhood. It's called Falcon Ridge. I actually really like this neighborhood a lot. The lot sizes are pretty big. There's a lot of mature trees in between the houses, and the houses are pretty normally spaced together, but they're not as dramatic as a lot of houses that we've seen. There was actually this house over here we almost bought a couple months ago, and it was just so perfect. I mean, beautiful pool in the backyard, giant oversized detached garage, had a waterfall in there and everything, but the primary was on the second floor, and with us having small kids and everything, there just wasn't a big sense of privacy, so it just didn't work out. I think we actually just passed it, not the one with the Sprinter van, it was the one right before it. Another thing that I actually really liked about this street that almost made it worth it, we'll take a right down here, and it just kind of loops around. But the fact that it's on a one-way road was just so nice because, a lot of neighborhoods around here, obviously two-way roads just like anywhere else, but you get cars parked all along the street. So you're having to bob and weave through your neighborhood every morning. And if you ain't had your coffee yet, man, that can get kind of hairy. I don't know. Some of these streets get pretty tight, but I don't know. This road, not this one, this is a two-way, but the main road that we just came in on, like I said, one way, just made driving through here really present. We look at this house here on the left as well. It was pretty nice. The living room was a little bit small for what we wanted, so that one really didn't make sense for us. I've shown a couple back here for some clients as well. There was a one-story, I think it was this one up here on the right. Really pretty house, needed some, interior updates and whatnot, but overall the layout was good, and strong bones. So one of my favorite things to say in real estate, strong bones. I think it's so funny when people actually use that in a serious capacity. It's like, just say the house needs some updates. Everybody knows what's going on here. Who are you trying to fool? I don't know if you could see it, but that house right there on the corner had a nice pool in the backyard, but they had wrought iron fencing that led back, and it was just a lot of visibility. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit more private than your average person, but that would drive me nuts. All right, so now we're getting back into the area where there's some nicer houses. You can obviously see there on the right, that was just a little bit nicer of a shopping center, a little bit more upscale, a little bit more lush, if you will. So we're transitioning right now. These are just kind of the bigger planned communities, not master planned communities, but these are just a little bit more organized. But as you'll see here, when we go through all these stop signs up here, is that it's going to transition into some of the more custom homes, a little bit more luxury inspired, and this area gets me in trouble all the time when we drive through here because my wife was like, oh, we should buy that one, and I'm like, yeah, I agree, but I'd like to not have a mortgage. That'd be cool too. But no, they are some amazing homes back here, and we'll drive back down into some of the deeper sectors as well, and kind of give you an inside look on some of the really nice, like, premier real estate out here. We're actually starting a big luxury campaign right now, so we want to start filming these kind of houses and, you know, really start hitting the luxury market pretty hard. Another downside to, oh, I love that house. Oh, we just passed the big white one. But yeah, another downside that, you know, you could look at it from Friendswood, and obviously if it doesn't pertain to you, not a big deal, but it's not really a lot of nightlife out here. So for some people that could be a downside. To me, it's kind of a pro. Less risk of drunk drivers, less noise, you know, things like that. So as you can see, we're coming up on one of the schools here. There's the Mustangs. Go Mustangs, baby. I am aggressively impartial. Would probably hurt your feelings how much I'm not involved in high school sports. So, sorry. I am pretty active in the community, but, you know, as far as sports go, I'm just not a sports person, except for golf. Hyper obsessed with golf. Look at this mansion on the left-hand side. This thing's crazy. Love it. Got 3 tall garage doors. I would be really curious to know what the actual practicality or functionality of that is. So as you can see, these just a little bit more custom homes back here. Hopefully you can see this guy off in the woods back here. The house is beautiful. Looks like out of a Hallmark movie back here. I love how gated communities are normally like 1,200 square foot or like 4,000 square foot plus homes. Like, there's like no in between. I feel like I've never seen a gated community for like 2,200 square foot homes. Kind of another con of Friendswood is that there's really not a ton of residential development going on out here. You know, today we're going to go to one of the new construction neighborhoods over here, but in Friendswood specifically, there's not a ton. And in League City, one of the neighboring cities, you know, connecting, whatever, there's an asinine amount of new construction going on over there. I mean, we've just been filming non-stop out there. Go check out Westland Ranch over there. That's hands down one of my favorites over there. The amenities center is just amazing. They call it the Hayloft. It's got, you know, a giant silo out front with a tractor, so it just gives it that kind of that, you know, rustic charm, farmhouse charm, if you will. But it has just an incredible sized pool. I really thought it was actually a lagoon for the longest time, and then when we were interviewing one of the sales reps, she told me that no, it's an actual pool, and obviously I don't have access to it unless I were to go with her over there, but thankfully we can capture everything we need for that from the sky. Hopefully she'll give us some private access in the summertime. That'd be cool to take the family over there. But, you know, huge playground, turfed playground, which was really nice, so the kids aren't getting mulch in their shoes or, you know, sand or mud everywhere. So I don't know, it was just really well executed. And then they have like a event center inside that you can reserve spots for events and whatnot. So I don't know, like I said, just it's something stuck out to me about that property, or about that neighborhood community, and I liked it a lot. So now we are driving down Lundy Lane, and Friendswood is just filled of like these little pockets like this where, you know, you take, it's like a retention pond over here, ADHD today going on, I don't know. But yeah, you just go down these little pockets and there's like ranches, and there's just these like gorgeous homes randomly. I can't say this is a great example of what I just said, but but it's a ranch nonetheless. So if you had some livestock out there, you could still qualify, under a nice tax exemption. But yeah, you just drive down and, I don't know, just see really nice luxury custom homes. So this behemoth over here, I'll overlay some photos of it so you can see it. But just an immediate turn down the driveway. His property is actually for sale right now, and it's on the MLS for $3 million. So if you want to see a little bit, see something like that a little bit more in detail or anything, that's something we'd love to do. Like I said, we are breaking into that luxury market, so not opposed to it. But this is just an example of some of the properties that are tucked away here in Friendswood. I gotta figure out my backup camera. It's got like a fisheye thing going on right now. It's basically inoperable. Got him.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
All right, so here's one of these newer construction neighborhoods that I was telling you about. This is one of the few. There's really not a ton here in Friendswood. One thing that's really nice, as I'm sure you just saw on the sign, no mud tax. That's really a big deal because we've just seen a ton of deals lately getting killed because of insurance and taxes. I'm sure that you've kind of seen that in the headlines and whatnot with the insurance premiums are doing. Thankfully, there wasn't as dramatic of an increase this year as there was last year, but that's kind of killed a lot of deals for us. So the fact that there's no mud taxes in this area, I mean, that's just a really big deal to people, understandably so. All right, coming up on the model home over here. What do y'all say we go take a look inside and see what's going on here in Friendswood Trails? All right, if you've made it with me this far, I really appreciate it. Reach out to us if you're looking to move to Friendswood or any other of the great suburbs here in Houston, Texas. Give us a call, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.